Afternoon, David.
Afternoon, David.
How
What
are
you
we
got
in the time?
underneath? I've got my fingers here. I've got 3, 2, 1.
I was just cutting off the screen. Anyway, before we get underway, let's get Facebook on board. Liebchen, I've got an answer to the question that you had for us, and that was, how do you get rid of an MP that's not doing their job? Well, I had a look at the recall acts on your behalf, and in this particular case, as a private citizen, if you want to bring a case against an MP for no doing their job, you have to convince a Commons committee to investigate them. And then they have to receive a Commons punishment of a suspension of more than 10 days from the Parliament, which will allow you to trigger a recall petition where if you can get 10% of the constituents in that area to sign that petition, a by-election will be automatically called. The bad news is, David,
Well, you can.
the same person who just get ready to
again, that's ridiculous, which is wrong. If somebody is being challenged by a member of the public, and they do end up with where it's a recall petition, and then it ends up as a by-election, there has to be substance to it, and at that point, that person should not be able to run for their own seat again. Simple as that.
I have to disagree because you've only 10% of the people say they don't want them. So the 90%, the people who voted for them might still want them back.
But wait a minute, hang on a second. We've got a board of inquiry, if you like, at the House of Commons that effectively says he did wrong. Therefore, we're putting out for by-election. That is the ultimate sanction.
Of course it is. Well, the ultimate sanction is a vote, but we could split hairs on it. So we could. Now, the other thing is, folks, after this morning, after the programme this morning, I've received a confirmation of the details for the Alba Food Pantry, and I nipped down to Motherwell and gave £250 of your money to the Alba Food Pantry, and I managed to get in contact from, thanks to Wolfpet, one of our viewers, who spoke to Jane Taggart, one of the local councillors in her area, and they convinced the Alba Food Pantry that we're not a con, but it's not some sort of con. We do actually want to give money away. And as I say, that's it done. They've got it now. Okay.
To be honest with you, I feel that these people that we contact, it's that all we're asking for is for the bank account, the sort code. Right? And your bank account and your sort code number is something that you should feel easy about.
Well,
somebody will say to you, "Oh, we've got £1 million here for you, but you've got to pay £600 for your delivery charge," right? I'd go, "Well, get stuff that's obviously a scam, right?" Or I would say to them, "Take the £600 off the £1 million. There you go. That is with that, right?"
But Reagan Elite son, folks. If you haven't watched any Reagan Elite stuff, please do. It's very informative. Go and check out his channel. Mods, stick a link in. And the same goes for anybody else who pops in. Sarosa, Daily Blase, so on and so forth. Okay, and we better say hello to some people who are in. Hi, Alistair. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Graham. Hi, Elizabeth. You never answered my question this morning. Where are you, Elizabeth? Are you in Spain or are you in Germany? Or maybe you didn't. I've missed the comment. Who else in? Angie's in. Peter's in. Mr. E's in. Robert the Bruce is in. Say Reagan Elite's in. Eddie's in. Mark Telfer's in. Right, I think we've had enough E's. Can't name yous all. There's 120 E's there at the moment and rising. So we'll just get that button in the bottom so we don't miss a comment. Anyway, folks, so the other communities had some money on your behalf, given to them on your behalf by us, and as usual, I feel very humble being able to do it for you guys. And they say the strength of the community here always brings a smile to my face. Right, move on. I guess we better start. We'll start on the story of today, I think, David, and that's the story that has broken that CMAL, the arms length company that procures vessels for the Scottish Government and publicly owned ferry company Calmac, has awarded the latest tranche of contracts to build 7 small short coastal route ferries, and apparently they're electric. David's reliably informing me. To the Polish company of, I think that's Renan Toa. Renan Toa is, and they're based in the port of Gdansk.
Yeah.
Now, David, the unionist press are throwing a jig here. They're loving it.
Listen,
They're loving it.
if you publicly tender anything, and it used to be that when we were still part of the European Union, you had to, anything over £50,000, you had to throw it open to anywhere, right?
Aye.
And the fact that Ferguson's don't have this one, it was never guaranteed they were going to get that.
The last two ferries that have run over for 5 years, Ferguson's had to bid for that against this same ferry company.
Yeah. So what are they? What do the unions want? Do they want a situation whereby maybe Ferguson's get no work whatsoever, or where the stuff goes out to public tender?
Thank you, Duncan.
Right, and in actual fact, these 7 boats?
7 boats,
electric. They're not very large, right? And the place that it's going to is ideally set up for building this size of boat. So what's the problem?
I don't see a problem, but what the unions are jigging and glee about is they're hoping the Fergusons will fail.
Well, forgive me for saying this, right? Is it perhaps that the unionists among us are too used to brown paper envelopes being thrust about? Is that what it is? So really, they're hoping that if enough brown paper envelopes go a certain direction, that Ferguson's will never get anything, right? There can be no fair bartering. Well, fuck off, I say.
Anyway, on the lunchtime, program with David.
I like the idea of fair trade. Yeah.
Aye.
At the end of the day, it's like if somebody's got the skill, the expertise, if they've got the setup and all the rest of it, fine, get ahead.
Anyway, let's go to what the trade unions had to say.
Yeah.
The trade unions and the workforce are obviously disappointed, and the trade unions make it clear to the BBC that one of the problems was the political football that the yard became, basically talking about the 800 odd articles that have been on these 2 fucking boats, as opposed to only 42, and the fucking overrun of 540 million, the railway station and the fucking Elizabeth line. You know what I mean? But hey.
By the way, do you not have any statements from Monsieur Sarwar on that? Did he not come out with, oh, that's dreadful, that is? So it is.
No, we'll get to Sarwar the Muppet in a minute. Anyway,
right,
let's talk about the trade unions and what they had to say, please, David.
Right, go on.
Now, when being interviewed today, the trade union rep down there at Ferguson's said he's not really got that much faith in the management either, and that the political football that the press had made the bloody thing had to help. And then he was asked about the crack in the hull of the Glen Sannox.
Aye, the one that's the same size as the Titanic.
Aye, that one.
Thank you. Is that a crack you're on about?
Aye, anyway, it was welded in about 2 minutes flat and the boat was straight back to sea. But that's beside the point. What the guy then said was, listen, that was to be expected. There's always teething problems with new vessels. It was only a tiny wee crack. He says, but even if a fucking fridge had broken down in that boat and it had been produced somewhere else, that fridge, it wouldn't have been Ferguson Shipyard's fault. You know?
It's the broken fingernail principle. That's what it is, isn't it? If on the Glen Sannox, even if the captain breaks a fingernail, that's it. The boat has got to be taken back to dry dock whilst his nail repairs. Listen, guys, somebody actually said to me, why take it out of service? Why not just keep it going whilst the guy fixes it? I said, well, that's to cut down on funeral costs, that is. Imagine the newspaper article that would engender, right? If the welder died whilst trying to weld up a crack on the Glen Sarats. Wow, right? So they cut down the funeral costs. What they did was they actually took it out of service, they fixed it, and then they put it back in service again. End of story.
Right. So, as I say, the other thing that the trade unions did when the BBC report was having a go at the overrun on this boat, the trade union representative said, no, when you think about it, who the fuck's daft idea was it to put this boat into production without final plans being drafted for it?
Exactly.
You know, he says, what chance did we have? The design wasn't finished when they asked us to start work.
Yeah.
He says, who the fuck does that? And I've made that point myself.
This means something. Holyrood. Do you remember when Holyrood first went up? It was as if they didn't have a clue what they were doing. They actually put it together and then they went, oh, the windows are wrong, we need to change the windows, the architect should do it. For fuck's sake. And it should have cost 20 million and it ended up costing 400 million pounds for Holyrood. Right?
Aye, I know. Guess whose cousin had the contract to make A-Windies? He made a fucking fortune. Anyway, let's move on. Did you see Scotland on Sunday yesterday? I didn't, but I watched this trip clip back.
No, please tell me. Please tell me the one.
Yeah. It took the longer to prep the area around the world than the world itself. I know.
Well, we were actually talking about before
Thanks
the show.
very much, mate.
Yeah, we were talking about for the show, Neil, and we reckoned they would put a scaffold from the seabed up.
Didn't he? We said they'd stop the thing for rock and they'd go up in a cherry picker. It'd be done in 12 minutes. Anyway, let's move on. Education Secretary Jenny Gilruth appears in Scotland on Sunday in defence of a free university tuition. Now, unionist troll Martin Geisler was telling her that free university tuition's not sustainable, and Jenny Gilruth says as long as there's an SNP government, university tuition fees will be free in Scotland. End of.
Well, I'm not having this. I think we should have a McGuinness and Milligan press gang. Tell you what, I'll meet you across Norway this weekend and we'll go and press gang some kids and take them back and throw them in the doors of some universities. Because where's the money coming from for all that? Well, I'll tell you where the money's come from all that. From Norway. Or from Sweden. Or from Denmark. Or wherever. Right?
Well, you highlight the next point, David, but let me make one thing clear. You might have a peg leg and think you're a fucking pirate, but I'm not going to Norway to kidnap people's children.
Well, we are the press gang, the Scottish press gang.
Anyway, let's get back on track. Geisler, the unionist troll, then goes on about a 23% fucking black hole because the amount of money that the Scottish government would be paying per student hasn't been up. It hasn't been up 15 years. And what Jenny had to say was very diplomatic, whereas me, I'd have got told right, and I'd have said to him, well, you forget about the 10 years of stagnation where there was no wage increase and no power cost increases or fuck all. So there was no real cost shift in what it cost to educate these children. He then goes on to say, well, the Scottish universities are having to bring in more and more foreign students to subsidise Scottish children's education. And the answer to that is no. The students are coming here because they want to be educated here.
Yeah, no. I side with Mr. Geisler. I think we should this idea of the press gang is a good idea.
You want to fuck off and kidnap somebody's kids, you go on your spanner. I'm living in the real world.
He's a fucking chimp. He really is, honestly.
Oh, aye, Martin Geisler is a chimp, aye, there's no doubt about it.
He's a complete fucking tosser. Excuse me.
Anyway, so for 10 years the cost didn't go up. So the last 5 years they haven't really put any money into the education, this guy's claiming. He's claiming that overseas students are are subsidising Scottish kids' education. Fair enough.
That's fine.
And the other thing is, of course, on the other page of the news, it's telling us that less and less foreign students are coming here because of Brexit. These guys have got brass fucking necks. These unionist trolls, haven't they?
I know.
You know. Yeah, we'll get the story of Aberdeen University going to the fucking wall because we're no attracting foreign tech students anymore because of Brexit.
And then?
And here we'll get the unionist trolls telling us fucking the same that these people are subsidising our education system. Fucking, what way do they want it, the spanners?
They want it any way they like, right? So come on, David, you know the score, right?
Oh, I know it's bullshit, but hell.
Yeah, it's total and utter bullshit.
Anyway, Jenny was bang on. She was very...
Especially guys like that. How dare he? How dare he? Oh, you're going to have to grab a few more foreign students to make it all work.
Anyway,
you guys put them up in front of the blooming European Union, the council chamber, and get him to suggest that, and hear what they blooming do to him. He's a he really is.
As I say, as imperial masters, Brexit has done more harm to the university sector than anything else. And here he is having a go at the Scottish education system spanner. Anyway, let's move on to my favourite subject and yours.
No, let's do that.
Let's go. Time's moving on. We've got a lot to talk about. Right. Anna's spineless Sarwar says Stammers, right, on benefit system reforms. Or insists Stammers, right, that the benefit system must reform. And the main talking points being PIP and, of course, the Scottish equivalent, because they demand it consequential, David. And of course, what's really funny about that is here we have Mr. Namer Austerity now banging his drum for his Imperial Master's austerity.
Yeah.
He couldn't make the shit up. But there's a couple of questions here. Are you surprised that Mr. No More Austerity, Sarwar, has changed his position to punch down on the least of us? Are you surprised about
that? I'm not surprised. He's a fucking liar. He's no matter what way you blooming do it. Sarwar's up to it. He's always up to it. You've got to get that in your head. He's up to it, and all you got to do now is figure out how he's up to it. End of story.
Anyway, let's talk about his Imperial Master for a minute. Sir Comrade Starmer, the human rights fucking lawyer, apparently. Anyway, who do you think they'll punch down on? The mentally infirm or the physically impaired, or both?
Both. Simple as that.
Well, we'll get a wee bit more of that.
Everybody they can manage to get their hands on. If you remember the time when we had the 60s in full swing, right?
No, I'm too young to remember that, for fuck's sake.
Well, shut up then, and I'll tell you, right? Okay.
No.
At that time, the United Kingdom was actually doing quite well, right? It really, really was. It's before the oil in Scotland and all the rest of it, right? And it's like the United Kingdom was doing actually quite well, right? Reason being is because what was the super tax? Super tax was 19 shillings and sixpence in the pound. Each pound was 20 shillings. So they had 6 pence out of each, six old pennies out of each pound that they actually produced, right? And that created the brain drain. But as we all know, through having looked and asked the same question now, what happens to them? They leave, but they can't take their assets. The things they're using to make money stay in the same position that they are in, right? You might lose the person, they might go and live somewhere else, but therefore the actual assets they're using that creates the money is still here.
Well, that guy in Pimlico Plumbers in London is a perfect example. He's fucked off to live in Monaco or something like that in Spain. Yeah. But the company's still there back in London making his money through the area.
Yeah, exactly.
An example. But
this argument of, everybody will up sticks. Well, I tell you what, see, before the last referendum, you had, was it Scottish Widows? We're looking to actually, let's move the brass plate and let's get it down to London, right? they've still got Scottish widows up in Scotland. The people that use Scottish widows are all over the place, right? That's the asset. You're not moving that asset unless we all move down to England, right? That wasn't going to make any difference. Moving your brass plate about doesn't make any difference,
Oh,
right?
he's not moved his brass plate. He just moved himself physically to fucking Spain or Monaco or somewhere like that. Anyway, but get back on the point. I mean, Sarwar himself and the optics of it to the Scottish public. How really poor a political operator is this Pratt?
I know, I know. The idea is that you should be hitting the people that are really rich, people with let's even be sensible about it. People with over £100,000 income in their family every year, right? And then work up from there. And even a 60% tax rate would be enough, right? Instead of attacking other people that have got the
That's
least
not
ability to
Sarwar
do
power, David. I'm
it.
talking about the Scottish politics prism here and the optics of it to the Scottish public. Know what they should be doing because it's known as power. I'm
Yeah,
talking about specifically Anna Sarwar and the Scottish political scene here.
right.
I mean,
So
in the course of 7 months, he's went from no austerity to full backing of his imperial master and austerity.
yeah, what's he trying to achieve? Well, I'll tell you what he's trying to achieve by doing that is he's going to guarantee he's going to be out of power. If
Oh,
he manages, if he manages to get that out there that much, then the majority of people are
let's expand that optic out. Now, what he's basically doing is the demise of Labour in Scotland.
yes,
Is it because Labour in Scotland is far more to the left than Labour in England, and Labour in England don't need the Labour in Scotland to get elected?
maybe, maybe,
I mean, I'm looking at this purely for the political optics of it.
yeah,
Know what they should be doing, because
yeah.
what they should be doing doesn't lie within the power of Scotland.
So okay, right. So 2026 comes, right? No bastard votes Labour at that one. So there's no Labour MSPs. All you've got is the people that are on list for Labour, right? They'll go through, right? So what we try to say here? We try to say that Sawa's trying to do this intentionally.
No, I don't think Sarwar's bright enough to see what's happening.
Yeah,
Because half the MPs down that road to the Scottish field are on the left.
yeah,
We're seeing it now, half of them are just fucking bootlickers and spittles, you know. But
yeah.
half of them are at least on the left. Now, wouldn't it surprise me if Starmer, with his attack on the left in England and the Labour Party, would like to offload Labour in Scotland? And I think Starmer is a useful tool for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because Starmer is purging that party to take it to the right.
yeah.
It is a carbon copy of George Osborne and of David Cameron's government.
So
Even the trade unions are screaming that to be the case.
therefore, are they trying to out-reform reform?
Probably.
Yeah,
Or become a carbon copy of the Tories or a permanent replacement for the Tories because they know that the political situation in England is they do tend to swing a wee bit right of centre, whereas in Scotland we tend to lean left of centre.
well, we saw the guy that was on debate night. If any of you actually saw it, guys, where the guy from Reform that was speaking for Reform was a councillor that was Labour, and then he walked the floor to Tory in Scotland, and then he walked the floor to Reform. So, oh, goodness me. So, therefore, yeah. And looking at what Starmer's up to the moment, he's basically taking a leaf out of Conservative Tories book, and that means that he effectively is a fighting reform. He's becoming more reform than reform. End of.
Well, as I say, I mean, I think when we look at the wider optics of it and the way that Starmer's been attacking the left wing, and with Scottish people leaning more and more to the left and him no needing their vote, I think Sarwar is being used as a useful tool here.
Well, looking at what John Swinney's doing, he's getting a coalition of the willing together to attack the extreme right wing, which means reform, right? And he's talking to people in Labour, people in Tory Party, people in the Lib Dems. Mr. Swinney, I'd be very careful who I was speaking to.
Listen, I don't think these people will. Maybe the Lib Dems, but Labour definitely not. As Starmer swings to the right, and they're just bootlickers. You know, the Scottish contingent, whether it be in Holyrood or whether it be in Westminster, bootlickers, lobby fodder. You know, so yeah, as I say, I think when we look at the optics of it, I don't think Sarwar sees what we see.
Yeah.
In the course of 7 months, he's went to end the two-child cap, end austerity, compensate the Waterford woman, save Grangemouth, and know his own benefit to tax.
And how dare you give that contract to anybody else apart from Fergus Marine?
I don't think he's a clever enough political operator to be able to see the optics of it for himself.
Yeah, how's it look?
Anyway, let's move on to another optics story, really. On Friday, John Swinney hosted Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, yes.
At Bute House. And this leads to a discussion between the Greens and sections of Scottish society. Now, it is understandable, but I don't think people quite get diplomacy when it comes to a situation like this. Do you, David?
Well, also the rather funny thing that happened when the chip off the old block went back and spoke to Daddy. What happened?
Well, he did threaten additional 50% fucking tariffs on whiskey on the weekend. Aye.
Get on that plane, go back to your stupid dad, and don't come back again.
Well, as I say, whatever Swinney said to him didn't think he was doing fucking well. And you've got to remember, Trump's not really the friend of Scotland that he thinks he would like to be, because the Scottish Parliament are investigating how he financed the 2 golf courses. So, you know, the loving that they think about that Swinney was having with Trump Jr. Well, I tell you, whatever he said to Trump Jr. didn't think he's doing well, because Daddy then makes additional threats to Scotland. But now, why did we say additional 50%, David?
Because originally he put up a 25%.
That's right. Around about August 2019, as his term was coming to an end, he slapped 25% tariffs on Scotch back then. As I say, but whatever Swinney said to him. But let's get back to the optics of this one.
Has it ever been removed? Did Biden remove it?
No.
Yeah,
so let's get back to the optics of this one.
Yeah.
The Greens don't want the Scottish Government to have any contact whatsoever with the Trump administration. Certain sections of society feel the same way.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a wee bit more pragmatic about it. I believe that the government should deal with diplomacy and the people should deal with sanctions.
Yeah. The fact that somebody is the First Minister of Scotland means that anybody that is considered as an important person, and certainly the son that was an operative of the President of the United States, would be considered that. So therefore, John Swinney has got no option but to meet up with such a person.
No, of course he's got no option. But I mean, this is the sort of emotive response we get. And we can understand that, Tina. But politicians, especially ones that don't have the power to sanction them or impose tariff back on them, they're going to have to keep diplomacy and lines of communication open with them. We, the people, are going to have to sanction them because we don't have the power in our government. But let's take the example of Canada. Even though Canada has got a full-on trade war with these people, they still keep communications open.
Yeah, that's right. And don't forget, Canada is an independent nation. They do have the ability. They could go, USA, these yours, fuck off, right? But they don't. What they do is they go,
I see he's using heavy with retaliatory sanctions.
Yeah, we're hoping you come to your mind, to your senses, but we're going to keep our sanctions in place until you've done that.
Aye. Now, as I say, but I can understand people in that certain section of society that think that we should take note, we should just not entertain these people at all, ignore them, and have nothing to do with them. But in reality, Scotland sells an awful lot of goods to America.
Yeah.
And diplomatic channels must stay open.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't think this Tushy, although this, to be fair, isn't a normal press generated Tushy. This is actually coming from anger within society and of course the Green Party, who think that there should be no communication with the Trumps whatsoever. So there is real feeling about that one out there on the street, David. But I think people really need to understand more about the trade arrangements between Scotland and the United States and how diplomacy works in these situations.
If Scotland was an independent nation, we could, if we were stupid enough, we could say, right, we're declaring war on America because you've got an idiot like Trump in charge. But would you do that? Would you actually do something like that? No, you wouldn't. What you do is you would create a situation where you put up with a man, right? You put up with his idiocy and all the rest of it, right? And if he imposes tariffs on Scotland, then quite good. If you're an independent nation.
Aye. Right, we need to move on again, David, because we've still got an awful lot to get through, and we're halfway through the show. Right, gender wars are back in the Scottish press. This follows Nicola Sturgeon's decision to step back from a political life going forward, and her policies on gender reform are brought up in First Minister's questions last week, as you know, and there's been a bunch of women's groups who have been targeting Nicola Sturgeon in public, saying that she sold out women's rights.
As far as I'm concerned now, the person that's creating the biggest amount of stick over it is a gentleman called Neil Findlay. And Russell Findlay, sorry. Yeah, feel like a Neil from Russell Findlay. And he's the leader of the Conservatives, right? Now, my advice to Mr. Findlay is, instead of berating the First Minister over this, why don't you come up with a solution for the whole thing? And what we'll do is we'll either laugh at it or we'll adopt it. One of the two. And you can, if we adopt it, then you can give your full backing to it. How's with that?
Sounds like a reasonable response.
Yeah.
But as I say, actually, I put a lot of this at the doorstep of the press because a lot of this stuff is just nonsense.
Yeah. It's jobs for the boys. It keeps people employed. All this is like tittle tackle. It's like, oh, you seen the head of it.
It's nastier than that. I think you're missing the point here. The way the press has went after this non-issue on equalities has actually got people insulting other people in public.
Yeah.
The way that Nicola's been attacked by some of these women's groups is outrageously stupid.
Nicola,
and a lot of nonsense generated in the press.
If Nicola was the First Minister now, she would take it, it would just roll off her back like water off a duck's arse. Something like that, right?
Well, as I say, I don't think, I think the whole thing's been blown out of proportion. And the need for equality in society has always been there. I mean, women's lib is still, women and men have still got equal status yet. Now, Sturgeon, a traitor to every one of us, especially the women. D-Doc, you're entitled to your opinion, same as anybody else. We tend to disagree, but hey ho.
Yeah, we do disagree. To me, she's Mother of Scotland, she always will be.
No, I don't know about that, but she's definitely a political operator above anything still in the UK. And Poland still puts her up there as the top political operator in Scotland, even though she's sitting in the back benches.
If as rumours are flying around at the moment, that she does get offered a job by the UN, it'd be nice if she got quite a meaty position with the UN to probably do us a lot of favours there.
Well, as I say, I mean, to watch some of the behaviour of some of these groups, it's not very gratifying, that's for sure. Right, let's move on. Starmer faces common revolt over proposed cuts to disability benefits, but that's the least of the problems as the latest tranche of economic data shows economy in contraction.
Yeah.
That means that these cuts make even less sense, David.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we have to do this, but are these people really that stupid?
No, they're not. No, I don't believe they are. I
So
believe
you think they're vindictive?
I believe that they do things like this intentionally. They push it one direction because of a certain agenda. And I'd love to know what the agenda is. I've made a few opinions on what the agenda might be, but at the same time, you can never be sure.
I've offered the opinion that it's eugenics.
Yeah, that's one possible. Yes.
And I've been talking about this for over a decade, David.
Yeah.
As you know. And for austerity to the punching down in the least of us, especially the disabled.
Yeah.
I really think there's an agenda to wipe people out.
Yeah.
If you're not of a certain income, or if you're not economically active, then you're no an asset, so fuck you, die. I think that's where we are.
Yeah.
But when we look at it, trying to cut 5 billion from the poorest, it takes even more money out of society, out of the economy, out of the marketplace, which means it is a countermeasure. The economy will shrink.
Yeah, of course it will.
We have a market economy.
And plus the fact anybody with the eugenics type way of mindset, right, should be very, very, very scared of their future, because it could well be that somebody's grandson, somebody's nephew, somebody's niece ends up being somebody that actually takes these people off the planet. Something like that. So be afraid. Be very afraid. It cuts both ways. What are you checking out, dude?
Oh, just my work wrote for the night, mate. But hey, as I say, David, this is nuts. At a time when they should be investing heavily in order to grow the economy,
yeah,
they're cutting.
Well, if you want that kind of society in Scotland, it's simple. It's time for independence, independence, independence. Keep your politics in your back pocket and keep rising the price. Go for independence. And I seriously see if enough of us do it, it just the SNP gets carried along with it. Simple as that, right?
Nice.
And
I've always agreed with Marco Ronaldo,
Yeah.
And that is, if you want to show a will for independence,
yeah.
There were 2 million people voted for independence at the last referendum.
Yeah.
Pinch your fucking nose and
Yeah.
give you free £5 or £12 to join the SNP.
Yeah.
And the minute they get to 2 million fucking voters or 2 million party members, there is no way Westminster's going to hold that tide back.
Right, absolutely.
Now, anyway,
I remember. He's a member, right? So it really doesn't matter, right? Just come join us. Seriously, make it happen. And then at that point, John Swinney hasn't got a leg to stand on. He looks at the membership and he goes, why is the membership growing like this? He'd probably try and hook on it, rise high on it and go, oh, we're going to blooming stomp this election. No, you're not, Mr. Swinney. Only with the party, with you out of it, will you do that, right?
Well, actually, the polling Swinney is going to stomp this fucking election.
Seriously. No, but the thing is, though, if everybody found out that John Swinney is against any form of independence at the moment...
He's not. He's just a gradualist.
Dead right. Being gradualist means that it's not going to happen for years and years and years and years. Sorry, it's the people out there need proper growth. They don't want eugenics to take place. They want Scotland to be a place that's fair and is after everybody, that looks
Right,
after.
let's move on.
Right.
Let's move on because time's moving on. Wes Streeton has a go at the medical profession, saying they are overdiagnosing mental illness.
Yeah. Couldn't make it up, could you?
No, couldn't he?
Yeah, again, it's another member of Parliament who doesn't bother consulting any.
Change out here, David. That's better.
It doesn't bother consulting any experts. It doesn't listen to any experts, and just opens his gob and lets his belly rumble. Simple as that.
Well, anyway, it's all part of this attack on the mentally ill. Now, what Wes Streeton doesn't get, the reason why there are so many more people suffering with mental illness today is because of the society that they have built. The society of despair.
And that they are continuing to build.
That society of despair.
Yeah.
And that leads to mental illness. People have to work twice as hard.
Yeah.
Just to get by.
That's right.
Both parents, some of them, both sets of parents are doing two jobs, like ships in the night, just to keep their household going.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. But we all have to take a share of responsibility in that. We all took our eyes off the fucking ball.
Yeah.
We've all taken our eyes off the ball, and we've allowed these people, and we've enabled these people. So only we can bring them down.
No, let's face it. The fact of the matter is that without Scotland, Labour would still have won that election, right?
Yep.
The problem is that people in Scotland weren't aware of that fact. The people
Why the fuck?
No, they weren't, David. They weren't by and large. There was a lot of people who thought, oh, let's get rid of the Tories by voting Labour. What a fucking stupid thing to do. But if you didn't know, you didn't know. It's simple as that.
We already see buyer's remorse here in Scotland. We see buyer's remorse in England. And we're going to see a shitload Marriott after this spring statement.
Yeah.
When they go ahead and do the same stupid stuff. But anyway, Streeton and his attack on the medical profession and the increased amount of diagnosis of people with mental illness. He has no concept whatsoever what he's speaking about. And once again, as you pointed out, David, a person who couldn't spell medical telling the doctors how to do their fucking job.
That's right. Absolutely.
Sad, isn't it?
Wes Streeton is only the only thing he's got on his side as far as that is concerned is that one of his best pals is a private doctor, a private surgeon, and that private surgeon speaks about privatising the NHS over.
I don't know about a private surgeon, but I don't know being a surgeon, but I know he's got a friend who advises private healthcare companies. I don't know what his medical
surgeon. Yeah.
Anyways, I say, do you know, I put this squarely to Dora Michael Gove when he told us 2015 to 16 that people were fed up by experts.
That's right. How dare Michael Gove actually say such a thing?
It was a bit like fucking Joanne Lamont telling the Scotch they're not genetically modified to make their own decisions.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
But as I say, it seems to have caught on.
Yeah.
All the politicians are fucking ignoring medical advice now, or expert advice now. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
And say hello to the wee Barra for us.
By the way, just while we're on there, I apologise if we've missed anybody that's given donations today. Sometimes it's difficult to actually see what's going on. You're in the cut and thrust of it. So
thanks, Ali.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, dear boy. Right, I guess we better move on to a bit of fun now. Carney snubs Trump by announcing that his first overseas visit since becoming the new Premier of Canada is to come to the EU. You know, fucking brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. So he's coming to visit the EU. Probably he'll be met with Ursula von der Leyen and whoever's head of the Council of Europe at this point in time.
Now, can I
It's a deliberate slap on Trump's face. Bang.
can I just say something of a personal nature, right? Nancy, my sister, across in Canada, she was personal assistant to the guy who ran Hillington Rolls Royce, right, back in her younger days. She's a clever cook, she really is, right? And she ended up working with Mark Carney when he worked for the Bank of Canada.
Aye.
Her estimate of him is he's a really good guy. And we saw that when he was the chairman of the Bank of England.
I was pretty fair. He was honest with referendum.
He was straight, absolutely straight.
Aye, Westminster was raging with him.
Aye, nothing bent about Mark Carney. And Mark Carney going to the EU, I'll tell you what, seriously, talk about putting the cat amongst the pigeons.
Well, anyway, he's got Trump shitting himself in it.
Yeah, because there are a few economic blocks that could manage to take on America on a trade war. One of them is the EU. Seriously. And America would come off very badly indeed.
Stephen, if Canada made a fortune betting against the UK because of Brexit, I'm no fucking surprised. I wouldn't know. The guy who does Gary's economics,
yeah,
he actually makes his money betting against the UK economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a pure cert. He can see who's in power.
Yeah.
So he knows the economy's going down the shithole. And he seems to be able to read it sector by sector.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, let's move on. Starmer has virtual conference with coalition of the willing to put pressure on Putin to come to the table and to allow a coalition peacekeeping force, including Canadians and Japanese in Ukraine. But once a peace has been agreed.
What was the phone call he made directly after doing that? I'll tell you what.
Trump, aye.
Donald, I told them all what they had to do. It's like, Lisa, he says, like, don't worry. It's like, we've got it all in hand. Yeah, everything you spoke to him about is it's all in place. Oh, fuck, honestly.
Well, Ian, to be fair, he's a Canadian, and Chuck is their head of state.
Yeah.
I wouldn't swear him, but never. I did it at one point, so I can't say fuck all. Right, but as I say, Carney's carrying on where Trudeau left off. He's no. David, what the fuck are you doing?
Sorry. Okay.
In the middle of live broadcasting, you're bobbing for apples.
No, I got a fucking false leg, man. That woman decided to get caught up in a cable. You know, cables that do this.
Take your cables, tiny boy. Anyway, bobbing for apples in the middle of a fucking show. So, to be fair, Starmer is trying to show leadership in this one. I don't know whether he's heading to get his bond to fuck.
I don't want to hear that about Starmer. Starmer is a Zionist. He's bought and paid for. He's paid for by the Zionists in Israel, right? That immediately
David, we could come on to the hypocrisy of Starmer when we get to Israel, but right now we're talking about this coalition of the willing. What's interesting is Japan's want to play an all. Well,
right.
Of course.
If you look at what Starmer's doing right now, he's playing exactly the Israelis' game.
So there's Australia and New Zealand.
Across Ukraine, right? Instead of pointing back to Israel, where real nonsense is taking place right now.
Well, when they say the meat grinder that's Ukraine's any less violent, it's just different.
Yeah, different. It's a lot different.
But we are going to get to what's going on in Israel shortly.
Yeah.
But as I say, Starmer and Macron, they seem to be the front runners in this.
Macron.
Well, what I would say is Macron's more heavyweight because of the amount of military might he's got behind him.
Dead right. Macron has got the weight of basically he's a major.
Anyway, there was
nuclear.
25 separate countries involved in this digital conference, and
Yeah.
that included Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and
Yeah.
the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
And they're all agreeing to put a peacekeeping force together. But as we know, Putin's conditions as he gets 4 more provinces of Ukraine and no international peacekeeping force. So I don't know how much effect they're having on the way Putin's thinking. You know. And if any of you guys watch the Sunday roast on Sunday morning, Professor Tim, whatever is it, Stevens is it, Professor Tim was speculating that Putin's deed and has been for years, and as we're seeing the doppelgangers. You know, talk about going down the rabbit hole.
Hey, that's a good one. I've not seen that one. It's like, so he definitely has made the other side of the field. But
Well, Professor Tim, to be fair, he did work in Russia as an academic, you know what I mean? He's not exactly what you call one of Putin's best pals. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. So, you're right about the hypocrisy of Starmer, of course.
Yeah.
Condemning Putin while big up fucking Netanyahu. It is really sickening to watch.
That, excuse me for saying, but that is getting me a fucking bucket. That's ridiculous. Starmer seriously should be pulled out of that blooming chamber immediately. Anytime he stands up by other people that are looking at what's going on in Gaza right now. Right?
Apparently, Trump's really just a glitch in AI. No, he's AI. So, Putin's deeds with doppelgangers and Trump's AI.
This is my kind of blooming rabbit holes.
Right, anyway, go back to the point though. It would appear that the Europeans and a bunch of allies to Europe and the UK have decided to try and sideline Trump and are trying to pressure Putin to the table and are trying to insist that they're going to put in an international peacekeeping force to keep Putin at bay. Now, of course, that leads to headlines like the Day and the Times or the Telegraph, was it, that UK troops could be in Ukraine for years to come.
Yeah.
But as you and I know, David, if you need a peacekeeping force, you've not got peace at all.
Straight away, you've got to look at it from the point of view of who they try to keep the peace for. Are they trying to stop the Russians? No, they're not going to stop the Russians. What they're going to do is they're going to stop they're going to be walking the streets of Ukraine and basically telling the Ukrainians, you stay in your fucking house. Simple as that.
Hey, Liebchen, you'd like to see us on a Sunday Roast special? Well, because the programme's pre-recorded and I can't predict what days I'm off, Al and I find it difficult to hit the same day for pre-recording the programme. You know, if he's wanting to do a live on a Sunday morning, I'm quite happy. Now, I have said to Al, and I'm keeping an eye on my WhatsApp, I have said to Al that I'm off on Wednesday, and I do have Al on WhatsApp. He normally records the shows on the Wednesday, I believe it is. Or the couple I've done, the one pre-recorded programme I've done with a Random Scottish History, Jenny. That was on a Wednesday evening. And even then, I had to cut at 7 o'clock. They hadn't finished recording the programme, so I had to shoot off.
Jenny did come on the Two Davies, and she was very good.
Aye, Jenny's brilliant.
Yeah.
Love Jenny to bits. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you. The EU's new catchphrase for Trump's visit. You have been tangled. Right, David, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so let's batter into what's going on in Israel and Gaza.
Right.
Second week of blockade of Gaza, and now airstrikes start again. Second phase.
We know that Netanyahu was clear in what he said. He did not want the second part of the ceasefire to continue to commence, right? So what's happened is He's dropping £2,000 bombs, and all these people that have moved back into places that exist in northern Gaza.
I don't think we're quite back there yet, David.
It's ridiculous.
But airstrikes have started.
Yeah, it's right.
And in this particular airstrike,
Are we talking about? Are we talking about a jet fighter with machine guns? Is that what we're talking? Are we talking about a jet fighter with missiles? Are we talking about?
well, in this particular case, it was a missile strike followed up by a drone strike.
Right. So at the end of the day, just as if you're in the wrong place, it's just as deadly.
It's a missile strike. It's an airstrike.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently it's not the first one.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this particular case, though, 8 aid workers from a UK registered charity called Al Kahir died.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean they were 8 citizens of the UK, although that is an anomaly. The UK is a monarchy, so there are no citizens.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, where's Starmer's condemnation?
Well, what really, really riles me is that I know for a fact we've still got at least one battleship down there covering the Red Sea.
Aye. What really annoys me, David, is the mental torture on these people.
Why?
You and I know that he was going to start again.
Yeah.
What he's basically done is herded all these people back to North Gaza, and then he's cut off food, medical aid, and water, and now he's started bombarding these poor bastards again.
Yeah.
He's basically lured them back into the north to hit them again.
Yeah, if you imagine if you were someone in that position, right? It's like we're only talking about if you were without food just for a couple of days, right? You can manage. You could manage it. Right, come on, let's go. Let's get the kids and all this, and let's get back down south again, right? But if you had no water for a couple of days, what does that do to you? What do you think that does to you? You can actually die if you don't have water for 6 days, right? So at the end of the day, it's like what is happening is the most cruel punishment ever to any human being you could possibly get. I'm sick. I'm sickened of talking about this. I'm sickened of considering this. I'm sickened of the fact that the world hasn't come out. There's no good guy that's come through all this and went, fuck off, Israel, you're not getting away with that. Right?
No, we haven't. None of this. Well, they'll have to say China has condemned them, but everybody's restrained by the Americans. You know.
They're going to use bad language against them.
Yeah.
Bunch of fucking bastards. There you go. What are you going to do now?
Of course, we did have America vote in the UN with the Axis of Evil.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking bastards, you and your mates, right? What does that do? It does nothing. The only language that the Israelis understand or will understand is if a fighting force comes through and pulverise the place. Simple as that.
Well, I don't advocate that, David.
I
don't advocate hurting the people.
I don't advocate hurting anybody. But when you've seen the amount of shit that we've seen regarding Gaza.
Not just Gaza. Look at the way they're in Syria. Look at the way they're going with Lebanon.
West Bank, Lebanon. Yep. That's right. Yep.
I mean, it's an imperialist, colonial, regime.
Yeah.
And their people are brainwashed.
Yeah.
And it's not a Jewish state, it's a Zionist state.
Zionist state, that's right. Yeah.
And it's bloody inhumane at this point in time as well. There's a bloodlust in these people.
Yeah.
And worse, it's infected the government.
What on earth these people are going to be like in the future when all this is done and dusted and they all decide, let's go to such and such for holidays, right?
Well, that's already happening at the moment. Israeli citizens are being banned from places as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine?
Aye.
It's like, I wouldn't off the back if I knew that a family were Israeli walking through Clydebank, right, say to me, you bunch of bastards, right, I would question them first. Oh, do you like what Netanyahu's doing, right? Once I was certain that they were Zionists themselves, at that point I'd go, right, you bunch of bastards, get them off fucking site. Something like that.
Andrew Alexander says your passport says citizen. Doesn't matter what it says. It's a monarchy. You're not a citizen.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Come on,
You're a
guys.
subject. I think the correct term is.
Yeah.
Subject.
Yes.
Subject to His Majesty the King.
Not my thing.
So your passport can say citizen all you want. It doesn't reflect the reality of it.
Here's something I really want to see. Welcome to the Republic of the Independent Scotland.
Right. Anyway, David, we need to wind this one up. It's 5:01 or 17:01 in grown up language, but it's just in case. So 17:01, as you know, I start work shortly. So,
I know.
and I'm really sorry about Thursday, David. That was my mistake. We could have stayed on a lot longer on Thursday because I didn't start at 9 o'clock at night. And I forgot when we shut the program down.
Honestly, I was having such fun. I really was, and
I
it's
saw
like,
that.
and you could see with the questions that were coming through, it's like the people were really starting to get the.
I will. Maybe need to put maybe need to put another Q&A on. Maybe once a month, an extra show.
Yes, I think that would be good. I think what we should do is at the beginning of Thursday, we'll actually put that out to the guys because a lot of them left at this time, right? How many people we've got at the moment?
181 watching. What are you talking about? It's a good number.
All right, okay, right.
But there is a few left, aye. No, it's
Aye.
161, sorry, not a wee enemy, but right, anyway, you've already done the eyes and the prize and the fucking independence thing, so we'll be back Thursday to do it all again. And we'll see you on Wednesday morning. Make sure you're up and ready.
Why?
10:30. You wanted to get involved once a week.
Oh,
So we get to fire the headlines at you while you look back at this fucking blankly again.
guys, I hope you realise what this is all about. If you walk into the co-op and you read the headlines and nothing else, you don't read any of the stories, right? Then effectively you are being misled because a lot of the unionist newspapers want to just use headlines to get a reaction of people, right? And when you actually read the story that the headline concerns, it doesn't concern the headline at all. It's usually of something else entirely. And I hope that by David and I doing this, it's sinking in that it's not the thing to do. Just go off headlines.
Aye. So Wednesday morning, folks, you get another taste of the two idiots together while one stares blankly at the screen while the other one reads out the headlines to him. All right. So if you enjoy that sort of fucking torture, you'll be back Wednesday morning. Right. So I'll need to go, David. Need to go, audience. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found
it was great. I loved it. And I really did think that.
You fuck up, you. Bye, guys.
Bye,
See you all tomorrow morning at 10:30.